X-Pac 12360, featuring weekly news, insider commentary, and interviews with superstars, past and present from the world of pro wrestling.
A new day is dawning for DX.
And now, your host, Sean X-Pac Waltman.
Hello, X-Pac 12360 fans. Welcome to a brand new episode, action-packed today. Let me tell you what's going down. We are on Westwood One. Thank you for joining us. We'll be covering the week's top pro wrestling news. We have not one, but two guests for you today. Judas Draven and Ryan Nemeth will be joining us. Not only that, but we, of course, will be covering the passing of Bruno Sammartino. And you know, we got George Napolitano gonna call in, and we'll chat with him a little bit about that. But first, let me introduce you to the crew that's hanging out with us today. My name is Christy, just Christy. And on the couch, we have Jimbo.
Welcome back.
Thank you so much.
So good to have you back here.
I am very happy to be here. What social media handle you rocking these days?
Still Jimbo in the booth.
All right, Jimbo in the booth on the couch. And a young lady I just had the pleasure of meeting today. Hello, Denise.
I know, it is so awesome. I can't believe we're finally getting together and meeting up here. It's awesome. Anyways, but you guys can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at _Denise Salcedo.
Love it. Johnny LaQuasto.
Oh, I get the last name. Thank you.
You do.
I thought we were doing the Stuart Smalley protecting anonymity thing, but hey guys, how you doing?
You're not as cool as Madonna or Cher. I'm
Nope,
sorry.
never.
And of course, the man of the hour, the one you've all tuned in for, the legend, Sean X-Pac Waltman.
Yeah.
You're the only one I let do this.
That felt a little rusty, to be honest
I'm
with
so
you.
over getting smoke blown up my ass. But I'm so happy that you're back.
Thank you. Thank you for having me back. I'm very
Yeah.
happy to be here.
Yeah, and I'm glad everyone could tune in for some insider commentary.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a handsome voice that is. I wonder whose voice that is.
I don't think that's any of your damn business, Johnny.
Fair enough.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Mark Donica.
Hi, Christy.
Hi. I forgot about you since I can't
Most
see you.
people do.
Tear.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. Hey, so anyways, I woke up this morning and the first thing I saw when I looked at my phone was the legendary Bruno Sammartino passed. And we'll talk about that a little bit later because if I start now, I'll get too off onto that subject. And we have other things to talk about too. So anyways, I thank you for coming in, Johnny.
Honored to be back. Thanks.
I'm happy to have you.
It's good seeing you at WrestleCon in New
Yeah.
Orleans. So.
Yeah, well, that was a great time. There was just way too many people there. If you could say that about something like that, it was so many people that people couldn't even get shit done they were trying to get done a lot of the time.
I've heard that from everyone who was
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't the greatest venue for WrestleCon, was it?
I think the Sugar Mill was a phenomenal setting for the live shows, but I
Yes.
think you're right. I think the conference center was a little too small because WrestleCon has become such a massive event now.
Yeah.
I felt like all the superstars, like all you guys were so boxed in.
Yeah,
There-
and then
you know.
and on top of it, the escalator going up was broken.
Sure was.
Yeah, and the event was on the 5th floor. So that was always great. I ended up on the 20th floor.
I got lost three times. Those elevators were not conducive to doing actual elevator things.
Yeah.
And you don't have wrestler knees.
No, well, I'm lucky. Very fortunate.
I don't even have, well, I actually have one wrestler knee. I didn't have wrestler knees for most of my career.
I worked on that wrestler knee one time.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah?
Yeah, I was in a Red Carpet Rumble, Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. And I'm a big Willie Mack fan. You know that. You guys know that. I've known Willie since he was a kid. And so he eliminated me. And when he did, I just took this huge bump to the floor. And my right knee was already gone. And so then my left knee was gone too. You know what I ended up getting? A shot of cortisone. The first time I ever got a shot of cortisone in one of my joints.
That was the first time.
It was great. It worked immediately, Johnny.
Good.
Yeah, because when right after that happened, I thought it was done.
I remember I ran to the back after we got off commentary, and I was like, I saw the way you fell. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
boy.
it was brutal.
So luckily it worked out.
Yeah. Anyways, hey Christy,
Yeah.
we might as well get into some news, huh?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
X-Pac 12360.
I have to say, I'm sorry we shut it down because I have to say this since it's been so long. It is now time for the X-Pac 12360 News of the Week.
X-Pac 12360
There it is.
Wrestling News.
Sorry that was so that wasn't very smooth of me.
That's okay. I'm ready. All right, let's start with this is from Variety, so it must be true. ESPN and Fox Sports have teamed up for the UFC TV rights. Now, this is super interesting. We all know that WWE airs on cable on USA Network. Yes. UFC has had a home on primetime for quite a while. And now ESPN and Fox have teamed up to get the UFC rights. The two companies have proposed to split the UFC packages. So this would bring as many as 15 fight events to new subscription streaming service ESPN Plus.
Well,
and Johnny, I think you have some inside dish on some of this, right?
Well, I do know that Fox might be making a play for Raw and SmackDown in a couple of years, but this is obviously a big move for them because they're trying to drive as many people to FS1 as possible, because digitally, if you go to foxsports.com, it's essentially just videos driving you to television. There's not a lot of original digital with Fox Sports anymore, so they need something like this. Yeah.
The thing that it just popped into my head just now is the part I forgot. Is like, is anyone forgetting about Fight Pass? That's their online. That's UFC's. They already have like an online.
Like an on-demand.
What do you call that? Over-the-top service.
Subscription service.
Yeah. And I'm just wondering like how that's gonna affect ESPN stuff.
Well, I think that's part of the reason why ESPN wants to get UFC so much. Is because they want to put like their smaller cards on their streaming services to kind of, I guess, add more content and whatnot. And I think they're talking about like almost like $400 million that UFC could be getting for for their content. So those are some big numbers. So I feel like this would be like a smart move for UFC, just because. Look at the number that that's rumored.
For sure.
300 to 400. You're exactly right.
I know,
But Fight Pass, like you didn't even really know what that was when I just said that, did you?
I've heard it before, but I don't really delve into UFC as much as other people. So
it's definitely no WWE network, that's for sure. So yeah.
Well, do you think that's why they're making a deal like this, because that wasn't working out?
I think so. I don't think that's the reason why, but I think that's how do I say this? I think that it affects that. I mean, I think that, if Fight Pass was killing it, it might be, might be not talking about this right now. I don't know. I don't know enough about it, actually.
Well, let me tell you just a little bit more.
Yeah.
This deal would provide premium live event content for this article is calling it the fledgling ESPN Plus service that's not currently available. So ESPN Plus launched just last week. It's $4.99 a month, and there's a mixture of content there: baseball, hockey, kind of anything a sports fan could watch.
$4.99 a month.
That's cheap.
$4.99.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
I'm trying to figure that one out.
I mean, we all know ESPN has definitely had their struggles the last couple of years. They've lost a big chunk of their audience. They're trying to figure out who they are again. And when you turn into SportsCenter, it's not what it used to be per se. And so I think, essentially television is struggling in general because a lot of things are digital. So they have to go with what they think is going to bring in the money. And UFC doesn't seem to be waning anytime soon.
Right.
So
and so Fox and ESPN are going to end up having to
work together, maybe.
Kind of work together a little bit. And I think that's the way of the future, Johnny. I think we were talking about this before we went on air. And, the days of they're the competition, we have to destroy them, that mentality's over with. Yeah. Unless someone's coming at you like that, that's not how it works anymore. Like, right. I mean, it definitely is not how it should work. Like the people, I mean, there's enough pieces of the pie out there for everyone to have a slice. Sure. Might not be a huge slice, but anyways. And what else is going on, Christy?
I'll take one slice of pie over no pie.
What kind of pie are we talking?
Depends on what kind of pie.
Is it a la mode? Maybe.
House of Hardcore, Lucha Underground, and Impact Wrestling. It's not Impact anymore. It's TNA. No, wait, it's not TNA anymore. It's Impact Wrestling.
Whatever.
I'm sorry. I wasn't allowed to watch any other thing but NXT for the last year. No, I'm just kidding. And for the details on this, I turn to one Johnny LaQuasto.
So this actually, it all happened at WrestleCon in New Orleans. Alberto El Patron did not show up for the Lucha Impact combined show, which everyone knows at this point because he's been released, fired, whatever you want to call it. So on the fly, they made up a main event. It was Austin Aries, Pentagon, and Phoenix. They tore the house down. And I guess during this weekend, everyone got together, Tommy Dreamer, Impact, whoever was there from Lucha Underground, and they decided, you know what, let's work together. It's for the best of the business. And at Redemption, their pay-per-view this Sunday, it's an amazing card. But not only will you have a House of Hardcore match featuring Tommy Dreamer, you're going to have a Lucha Underground match specifically featuring Aerostar and Drago, thank you. And then the main event's going to be Austin Aries versus Pentagon versus Phoenix. And so I think if you love wrestling, I think it's a great buy. Because, I mean, pay-per-views aren't, like you mentioned earlier, Sean, they don't do as well as they used to. But if you want to support professional wrestling and support people working together and trying to make a living, I think it's a beautiful thing to see these companies working together. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And also the thing about that is that people were seeing, well, what was formerly TNA and now Impact was going, I guess you can say, like, through a downward spiral where people weren't giving it the right opportunities that it deserved. But honestly, so speaking of the WrestleCon show, that was one of the shows that had the most people, and they really put on an incredible show. So I feel like Impact is getting back up there to where they're getting the, I guess you can say, a better reputation, whatnot. And Austin Aries is killing it right now as a champion. He is just doing like amazing stuff. So I think having both of these companies, like Johnny said, work together is honestly like really good things for both Lucha Underground and for Impact, because they both needed it.
Do we know any more about that? Like, who actually got together with who? Like, I mean, was that who from Lucha Underground was there?
Well, I do know at House of Hardcore, when Aries hit the ring, and I think they may have aired this, he said, you know, a lot of people don't know what happens behind the scenes, but last night at the Lucha Underground Impact Wrestling show, you know who was in the back helping everybody? Tommy Dreamer. Didn't have to be, but that's the kind of guy he is.
It is the kind of guy he is.
So
legit, that's Tommy Dreamer.
I think it was just everyone, when you have the right group of people who like each other, you say, why don't we work together? Maybe it's simple as that. I don't know.
Because there are plenty of reasons why people should. I mean, we can always find reasons why not.
Sure.
But I prefer, like, these days to think about the reasons why we can.
That's what you have to do with the way things are. It's hard enough to make a living, so why don't we help each other out?
And I'm 100% support for Impact, for Ring of Honor, for any of these companies out there giving people work.
And Ring of Honor set a record, 6,200 people, biggest live event they've ever had.
Yeah. I think that was because Cody came on our show.
Yeah, I think so.
They actually said that. Yeah.
Well, his match with Kenny Omega was one of the best of the night at the Ring of Honor show, and like, I think that people had certain expectations for it, and it definitely exceeded, honestly. Yeah.
I find it interesting that TNA originally started with weekly pay-per-views every Wednesday for like $10, and now they're kind of going back to, well, that worked for us back then, maybe it'll work now. And instead of a divide and conquer where all of us are working, trying to become number one, we'll work together, and then we'll become number one.
The thing is it didn't work for them back then. That's why they changed it.
The TNA pay-per-views?
Yeah,
really?
they didn't. It didn't.
Until they got the Fox Sports deal, and then they got on Spike, but that was the only way to watch them.
It was the only way, but it didn't work. It cost them shitloads of money.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's just the way it was. I mean, they had to have, Panda Energy come in and buy them. I remember because Scott Hall and I were the ones that talked the Carters into actually buying TNA.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, that's something
That's a story.
Yeah.
I've told it many
Noting
times.
that for another time.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, and presently TNA is doing better than ever. Their ratings last week were the highest they've been in a very long time.
Yeah. Yep. And I'm happy for Scott D'Amore and Don Callis. Yeah. It's nice to see Don, I like Don. I liked him when everyone hated him in WWE. I was like, why do they hate this guy? They hated him.
When he was the Jackal?
Yes. Anyways,
Weird.
I guess.
But I got to meet Scott that weekend. An awesome guy to talk to. Yeah, really cool.
They were also, I spotted them at the New Japan show in Long Beach, so that was pretty cool to see. They were just hanging out, watching the show, having a good time.
Well, because Don does commentary for New Japan.
Yes.
On their streaming network. So.
Yep, Kevin Kelly and Don Callis, they do a very good job. Excellent job.
Well, from literally every other wrestling company back to WWE, this week saw a superstar shakeup on Raw and SmackDown, which had the United States Championship going from SmackDown to Raw and then ending up in the hands of Jeff Hardy and going back to SmackDown again. So Jeff and the U.S. Championship are on SmackDown. Also, our friends Absolution have been moved to SmackDown. Samoa Joe, Big Cass is back and will be on SmackDown. There was a ton. one of my favorite debuts on Raw. Drew McIntyre, former NXT champion, has teamed up with Dolph Ziggler, and they are no doubt going to be an incredible force over there on Raw.
Is there anything that like links Ziggler and Drew McIntyre at all?
I was trying to think
Not
about
so
that
much?
last night. No.
Doesn't matter. I still dug it.
Yeah.
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 Seems like a good
Yeah,
pairing.
and Drew McIntyre looks in good shape.
Just amazed. And this is the physical therapist in me talking. I can't believe how fast people are coming back from injuries now. I mean, Cass and McIntyre, a normal person, they would not be back. And all of a sudden, they not only do they look amazing, they're actually able to compete. It baffles me. But I guess that's when your full-time job to go to therapy 3 to 5 days a week at least.
Exactly. No, I'm to say that I am not surprised because this is Drew McIntyre. And I, having had the pleasure of working with him while he was the NXT champion, I have never seen someone who just cares so much.
Awesome.
Just cared about carrying the brand, about being the role model as the champion, about being the face that people want to come and see, about ticket sales, just every aspect of him taking that responsibility as the
When
champion.
he was in studio, that's exactly the impression he gave me. You know, I mean, I knew Drew a little bit, you know, seen him around and that, but never really, except when people come on the show, a lot of times I never get a chance to have a real in-depth conversation with them. So, anyways, but yeah, it was great seeing Drew. Samoa Joe on SmackDown.
That's
cutting
huge.
that vicious promo on Roman Reigns. How was that at all any good for Roman? I thought it was great for Joe.
That's what I want to know. I actually want to ask you about that. What's the psychology there, do you
I
think?
have zero clue whatsoever. None. And I have a lot of sympathy for Roman Reigns right now.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe the idea
Tough
is that
spot.
we've heard that pay-per-views will be back together, or maybe there'll be more of a mesh between Raw and SmackDown on the pay-per-views now. So maybe they want to keep that heat between the two of them kind of rolling a little bit.
Regardless of if that's what they want to do or not, like the fact that that's how they did it, it was just like, what?
Yeah. I don't have an answer.
Okay.
Well, it's a ton of call-ups in addition to Drew McIntyre.
And then let's piss the people off by like teasing like they're going to fight and then walk away and then come back and walk away again. I don't get that. Anyways.
Well, the Iconics, Billy Kay and Peyton Royce, a far overdue call-up, in my opinion. Their new home is SmackDown Live. Also, No Way Jose, former NXT Women's Champion, Ember Moon, former tag team champs, the authors of Pain, are all on Raw. So incredible to see those folks there after watching them day after day work hard and seeing what they put themselves through. That to see them get that moment is just unbelievable.
What about Ember Moon?
I hate to sit here and be like, oh my God, everybody is so great. But she's so great. She's someone who, this is her lifelong dream. She had multiple tryouts. It was a long road to WWE for her. And even when she got there, she struggled a bit. You know, when she first arrived, it was still the era of the model, the valet,
Sure.
And I think
I could see her getting overlooked really easily around there.
And actually, I spoke with her at Radio Row at WrestleMania, and she mentioned she lied about her age. She started wrestling when she was 17 in Texas. I want to say with Booker. At least for a long time, she wrestled with Booker in Reality Wrestling and other companies in Texas. But that's how young she wanted to jump in. And so it's been a long road, I think. But
They bring her in, and I don't think there's any mistake on whether they're going to push her or not, because, I mean, who the hell... The first night she was in, she beat Alexa Bliss right in the middle of the ring.
and aligned herself with the champion Nia.
Yeah.
The question is, which show is R-Truth really on?
Hey, if he doesn't know, how are we supposed to know?
God, he's great.
And is it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? Who knows? That was hilarious.
Well, I think Sean has a little message for all of you who wear contacts out there.
You wear contacts, don't you, Chrissy?
I absolutely do. I just put in a fresh pair this morning.
Was I supposed to tell people that?
Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah,
It's
I
too
wear my
late?
glasses a lot on social media, so I think the cat's out of the bag.
So anyways, there are a million things demanding your time. Contact lenses shouldn't be one of them. That's why we're excited about a great new company called Simple Contacts that is making the process of renewing your eye exam and buying contacts, well, simple. Simple Contacts is the most convenient way to get your contact lens eye exam renewed, and stock up on your brand of contact lenses. Get this. Instead of taking time off and spending hours on the doctor just to renew your eye exam, you can now do it online in under 5 minutes. This is vision care for the 21st century, folks.
Yeah.
Here's how it works. Take a quick, self-guided vision test from your phone or computer. It's reviewed by a licensed doctor in 24 hours. You receive a renewed eye exam and reorder your brand of contacts. If you have an unexpired eye exam, you can use them too. Just upload a photo of it or your doctor's info and order your lenses in minutes for a great price. They do all the hard work for you. Buying more contacts has never been easier, and why should it be hard in the first place, right?
That's right.
Thank you. Thank you for that. That's why Simple Contacts was created. Simple Contacts offers every brand of lenses, and their prices are unbeatable. Plus, the eye exam is just $20. Compare that with an annual appointment, which can be up to $200 without insurance, Christy.
Jeez.
Is that what it costs
I ain't
for
got
you?
that kind of cash. Sure does.
Shipping is free. And best of all, my listeners get $30 off their first Simple Contacts order. To save $30 on your lenses, just go to simplecontacts.com/X-Pac or enter the code X-Pac at checkout. I want to mention that it's
Now, it's not a replacement for your periodic full eye health exam. You still need those occasionally, but this is the most convenient way to renew an eye exam and to reorder your contacts.
Thank you. Thanks for that, Christy. Again, check out Simple Contacts and get $30 off by going to simplecontacts.com/X-Pac or just enter code X-Pac at checkout. Save yourself time, money, and a headache with Simple Contacts.
All right. Yeah, I'm convinced.
Alrighty then.
I want bad vision now just so I can get contacts.
Yeah.
You made it sound that good.
Yes.
Well, folks, in addition to the news of the week that we've just delivered, we are all aware that the legendary Bruno Sammartino has passed away today at the age of 82. And legendary photographer George Napolitano joins us now to discuss Bruno.
Hey, George, are you on the line?
Yes, I am.
Hey, George, thank you for joining us. And
Anytime.
And sorry, I wanted to have you on the show. I was thinking about having you on the show if you were willing to come on, but like this is obviously a really sad occasion to be doing this. But I appreciate you coming on, George.
Anytime.
How long? Hey, how long did you know Bruno?
Well, let's start as a fan growing up in Brooklyn, New York, Italian. I used to watch wrestling, and Bruno was my hero, being a young Italian kid from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to watch him as a kid. And then I remember being at Madison Square Garden as a fan when he defeated Buddy Rogers in 48 seconds, May 17th, I believe, 63. I was a fan. And then after that, I got interested in music and the Beatles and girls and everything else, and I kind of dropped out of it until 1970, and that's when I started photographing for the magazines. It was 1970, so it's almost like 49 years.
Wow,
it's like mind-boggling. So how well did I know him? I mean, I've seen all of his matches, 70s on up, against Stasiak and Koloff and Sabisco, and the cage matches, everything with Stan Hansen. I've seen everyone. The one that I just watched earlier was Bruno versus Ken Patera, George, and what a great match that was. Yes, and if I remember correctly, really bloody and vicious and hard, really hard. Yeah, and you know, George, I grew up down in Tampa. For the championship wrestling from Florida territory, so I didn't get Bruno. I got Harley. I got Ric Flair. And Briscoe. And Jack Briscoe. So I didn't have a true appreciation for Bruno until not that many years ago, and I'm sad to say that. Go ahead. That's the way it was. There was no other way to know it. Honestly, the only way you knew about what was going on is True Magazine.
Yeah.
And if you were lucky enough to get different TV. In New York, we got TV from Florida. So I saw Dusty and all the guys and Kevin and that on TV in New York. But other than that, unless you were able to see it, you didn't know what was going on.
And the
That's
thing
why.
is, and I always just had this this mentality that, okay, our guys were way better world champions than the WWF guys. The Harleys, the Flairs, the Briscoes. And then when I go back and I watch Bruno, he was great. I mean, he was so good in just about every way. Yeah.
It was a different style. I think your NWA guys were more wrestlers.
Yeah.
And they did more holds. Whereas in New York, WWF style was more of a brawling style. Bruno was a brawler. I mean, really, a lot of kicks, a lot of punches. I mean, he could wrestle, obviously.
Yeah. He was really good at throwing those kicks and punches, and the fire he had was. I mean, it's like it's to this day. Like when I look at the way people fire up in the ring, like go back and watch how Bruno does it, or how Bruno did it, because that's how you do it.
Yeah, that was his comeback. Was great. Like he would get all tense and his hands would come up, and he's ready. And then he'll pummel you. I mean, it was something.
Yeah,
it was something.
And when did they decide to take the belt off of Bruno?
Well, at some point he got tired.
Yeah.
I mean, he was champion for 7 years, from '63, I want to say, till '71.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was a long time to be on top and to travel and to do what he did. And he got tired. That's supposedly what the story was, and it was a different world then. Nobody had these talk shows, or nobody was smart. There was not those sheets.
Sure.
You didn't know what was going on. And it was kept to itself. Nobody really knew why he stopped or what really happened.
Sure. And
the only I heard from Arnold Skolin, and he was his pseudo manager, and used to drive him around, take him around, was that Bruno really was hurting, because almost about a year or so after I started taking pictures, Bruno stopped, and I told Arnold one day, I used to love Bruno, and I really want to see him. He said, "You'll see him again in a couple of years. You need the time off." And that's what Arnold told me.
And those
that's
rings,
all I knew, really.
And George, those rings that Bruno worked in every night were hard as a rock. Oh my God, those rings were hard.
It wasn't padded. it was a ring, solid.
Wow.
It took a solid hit,
And go ahead, Johnny.
I was going to say, to put it into perspective.
No, I was going to say, and then when you said about the rings, I thought of the time when Stan Hansen tried to body slam him, didn't hold him correctly, and he ruptured the vertebrae in his back.
Brutal. Go ahead,
I think what's amazing for me, you mentioned, you saw him win the title in 1963. You fell out of it for a little while, and then got back in 1970. He was champion that entire time. To put that in perspective, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, he was champion that whole time, and then he was champion a couple more years after that. And then he had, I believe, a 3-4 year run when he came back after defeating Stasiak, I think, at the time. And then he had 3-4 more years until he said, "I can't do it no more."
Yeah, and then
until it went to Superstar.
And then we saw if you go back and watch the old All-Star Wrestling in the Vault section on WWE Network, then we saw Bruno co-hosting with Vince McMahon on All-Star Wrestling.
Yeah, that was later. Might have been '80 and so on. That he was the host, and their matching yellow jackets, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and Bruno had that sweet ass perm going on too back then.
Yes, he did.
A lot of guys had
that.
He did. I remember Billy Robinson even had one of those. Anyways, so hey George, can you talk about the falling out that Bruno had with Vince and WWF?
Well, he just didn't like the direction that they were going, the way I understood it. He didn't like, he thought it was too sexist, and it wasn't the wrestling that he knew.
Right.
It wasn't what he knew. And he just didn't like their direction. And then, too, he heard, he had a deal when he came back. Everything is, again, what I've heard.
Yeah.
He had a deal. He had a deal when he came back that he would get a percentage of the houses, the gates, to come back as champion.
Yeah.
And somebody then told him that he wasn't getting the right cut. And when he found that out, he went ballistic, and then he didn't want nothing to do with Vince.
So
and that was one of the reasons that kept him away, because they were at odds over how much he should have earned that he didn't earn when he came back.
So some of it was over the behind the scenes business stuff, as opposed to guys being all jacked up on steroids, different things like that.
He just didn't like the steroid, the whole era, like that. He felt he was getting beat, so he got it from a couple different ends.
Yeah.
And to clear things up, his problem was with Vince Sr., whereas Vince Jr. years later did settle with him and kind of clear things up.
Right. Vince Jr. did settle with him, yeah. But, Vince is Vince. Vince Jr., Vince Sr., it was the same family.
Yeah. So, and George, I remember when the Hogan era started and they were still trying to, feature Bruno a little bit. Like, I saw matches like he had like at Boston Garden with Randy Savage and stuff with Roddy that was really, really good still.
Yeah, he still was in shape, and he was always in shape. He used to run miles. Whenever I would see him, I'm still running, and he would go out every morning and run and stay in shape. He was always in shape. But he was in a different kind of shape. He wasn't in a Tony Atlas muscular shape.
Yeah.
He was in a solid. He was solid.
Hey, George, do you remember, were you around, or was this before your time when he fought the orangutan?
I'm sorry, when he fought who?
The orangutan, the monkey.
No. Nope.
That's one of
my favorite stories I've ever heard.
Yeah, I mean, no one can. Anyways, I thought maybe you had some insight on that.
It was in a cage, right?
Yeah.
No.
So, hey,
that I don't know,
George. And what about his relationship with his son David?
Oh, very bad.
Yeah, still.
They were on the outs. I mean, how it really started, nobody knows. He was with David, I think, at WrestleMania 1.
Yes.
He was in David's corner.
Yeah.
He was David's corner at WrestleMania 1. Then he was in the Battle Royal in WrestleMania 2. But he was with David, and then something happened. David could not live up to being Bruno's son.
Sure.
He just didn't have it. He was smaller, not as muscular, but he was good for his size, but he wasn't Bruno's size.
Yeah, you could tell David was trying to be like his dad, and he was like, trying. I think he was even using steroids and trying to be the powerful, the power wrestler. Yeah. Yeah,
and if you see pictures of him, he got really cut.
Yeah.
But Bruno was with David, and they started a rival promotion with Mario Savoldi, but it never really took off the ground, and David was one of the guys, and Bruno was with them too at that time.
Was that ICW?
No, that actually, I forgot the name, but it was with Mario Savoldi.
Okay.
And they were trying to get pounds in New York, and they got a couple, and they were on some UHF stations, but it never hit.
Yeah.
Never really got
So
there.
did they have any talent besides Bruno?
Yeah, well, Bruno's name got a few of his friends. Got a couple of got Johnny Valiant. And,
okay.
And I think, if I remember correctly, Larry Zbyszko was amongst it, and that's what they were building off of, the feud, Bruno and Larry.
Wow. When Bruno finally agreed to come back and be inducted in the Hall of Fame at Madison Square Garden, actually a lot of people don't know this, but if Bruno didn't agree to that, DX was going to go into the Hall of Fame. That was serious talk about that. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Juicy.
Yeah, and I was so happy. I was so happy to see Bruno reconcile with WWE, George. That was so That was in New York, right? About 4 years ago, I believe. 2014, 18, about 4 years ago, was in New York. And I also think, if I remember correctly, Donald Trump was there. He was.
And Schwarzenegger.
Yep.
And Arnold Schwarzenegger, who inducted Bruno.
Yeah.
And years and years before that, I remember going to a bodybuilding competition with Bruno, and him and Arnold were the hosts, judges, hosts, whatever.
Was Scott Epstein there?
Scott Epstein was there. I used to take pictures with Scott to something called Pro Wrestling Training.
Yeah.
Or Wrestling Training Illustrated. That's it. Wrestling Training Illustrated. And Scott wanted to get into wrestling, and he didn't know what to do. So I kind of helped him, even though I was having my own magazine and stuff, and I did a lot of pictures for him.
Some people are going, who the hell is Scott Epstein? Scott Epstein was what would represent like Bruno and Superstar Graham and like, personal appearances and things like that. And I got to know Scott, and he was a wonderful human being.
Yeah. Scott's father-in-law was Dan Laurie, the bodybuilder.
That's right.
That's the connection.
Yeah. So, anyways, rest in peace. And Scott passed away a few years ago, and that was really sad. And anyways, I was fortunate enough to actually get to know Bruno a little bit and have some conversations with him, and I'm honored. And he was such a wonderful guy, and he was really, really super nice to me. And he didn't really have that much of a reason to be, other than just being such a great guy, So,
but generally, he was a very outgoing, really nice person. Quiet, but he didn't do the boss scene, and he didn't go out after. He just did his own thing.
Yeah.
He didn't. He really didn't indulge and go out to the bars like the others did after all the matches in New York.
And
he did his own thing.
People that know Bruno's story, he was very sickly as a child.
He got made fun of. He got bullied.
Yes. And the fact that he was able to build his body up into being like one of the strongest men in the world and drug free. Mm-hmm. And when he says that, like, he's one of the people that when he says it, I believe it.
Yeah. Well, he had a different body, a different physique, and it was a different time.
Yeah.
That's how you trained.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a whole different time, whole different era.
Yeah.
I mean, today, everybody's cut the same mold. Anybody could be anybody else, in my thinking. I mean, I'm not saying that I like only the old time wrestling, but it's too much of the same thing to me.
Yeah.
Because I remember seeing the Wolfman and all kinds of crazy people and George Steele and what have you.
George, some people will say, well, Bruno was this or that, but it's because, he was Italian and Italians drew, money and ethnic, people drew money in the Northeast, back at that time. But here's the thing. And Dom DiNucci was great, and there's a lot of other great Italian guys that weren't selling out Madison Square Garden.
Right.
Yes, Dominic couldn't, but Dominic was a good mid-carder, and he'll tell you he was good at his position on the card. But then at that time, wrestling was more ethnic. Who followed Bruno was Pedro Morales, Puerto Rican, and that's when the crowd changed to all Spanish.
Yeah.
And
that's why they called Terry Bollea Hulk Hogan, was for the Irish people and Backlund.
I saw that in the Andre clip, and I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But I do know that they got Bob Backlund because they wanted to go all American. They wanted to draw Americans.
Hey, did you know that Eddie Graham was trying to push Steve Kern on Vince Sr. to be the champ?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Instead of Backlund.
But if I'm not mistaken, though, Backlund came from AWA, but he was in Florida, and Eddie gave him a good endorsement too.
Yeah,
that's why.
So, hey, I appreciate you coming on and talking to us about one of the true all-time greats. I mean, Bruno Sammartino. Thank you. Thank you, George.
Lost a hero. It was, they want to say end of an era. It really is to a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people, it's an end of an era.
Well, George, what is one of your favorite pictures you've ever taken of Bruno in all your years of shooting photography ringside?
Well, I have this one pose that I got in with his belt, obviously, and have it on my wall. It's not anything special to anyone. It didn't happen in any specific time. It was just a picture that represented Bruno. It was really nice. Him holding his belt, holding it out for me, and I have it on my wall. That was my favorite Bruno photo that I did. I mean, like, I did the picture of Andre with the 4 girls. That's my
that's one of George's
famous photo.
Very iconic photo.
Yeah, that's the one I love. Yeah.
Keith Lee is.
But I had nothing with Bruno like that. Yeah.
Hey, George, I appreciate you coming on and talking to us about Bruno, and I hope to see you soon.
I hope to see you too, and anytime we could talk again. I love the call. Just appreciate it. Thank you, man. It's always great to see you.
You too,
you were I told you before, you were my son's favorite from the Manhattan Street.
Thanks. Thank you, George. George Napolitano, everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks, George. Bye-bye.
So let's take a break right now.
Let's take a break. We will be back very shortly with Lucha Underground's Vibora and Ryan Nemeth.
Hey, X-Pac 12360 fans, I just want to tell you 2 ways that you can support the show to help it grow. First, if you've ever wanted to shout out a surprise message for various occasions from me, all you have to do is visit celebvm.com/Sean Waltman to request a video today. Not only does it support the show, but a portion of the proceeds go to charity. Second, visit prowrestlingtees.com/Sean Waltman. That's the only place to grab shirts with the X-Pac 12360 logo, Wolfpack, or many other designs. If you pick up a shirt, make sure to tweet us using the hashtag X-Pac12360. That's celebvm.com/Sean Waltman for a personal message from me, X-Pac. And prowrestlingtees.com/Sean Waltman for X-Pac, Wolfpack, and X-Pac 12360 gear. Thanks for supporting the show. Now let's get back to it.
Welcome back to X-Pac 12360. Couple guys joining us now. One is a wrestler, author of Hardbody, How to Be One, and an actor. He has a film getting tons of festival buzz right now called Daddy's Boys. The other, you know him as Vibora on Lucha Underground. And if you're also watching Big Brother, he placed 5th on season 17, and last season on Lucha Underground won the Trio Championship. Please say hello to Judas Draven and Ryan Nemeth.
What's up? Thanks for having us on.
Thank you. Hey, and also, when I had my only match I've had in the LA area, and who knows how long, at Bar Wrestling, it was with these 2 guys.
That's right.
Yeah.
You were a tag team, or you were against
I teamed with Judas, and we were working with Joe.
There's a lot of people in that one.
Ryan,
EC3.
Ryan, EC3.
JTG was there.
Brian Cage.
Yeah. We did a sweet spot where I come in and blow my comeback, and Cage reverses me and gives me a pop-up, and I do a sweet drop kick onto Ryan. And somebody caught it midair, and they thought I got all that air by myself, and I didn't argue. I didn't argue with anyone.
No way.
So,
you almost hit the roof on that one.
Thank you for that, you guys. Making me look good out there.
A huge honor.
Yeah, it was a lot I
So
you did hit the roof in that place, didn't you? Didn't you put your head through a ceiling tile there? Yeah.
Yeah, Brian Cage threw me through. I did. That was the end of the match. That one felt good.
All right, well, no one's going to do that to you here. Don't worry.
Thank God I'm hurt right now, so I got to be careful.
Hey, and last week, Jimbo, I wish you would have given it to me while we were on air. Like, I would have showed everyone the drawing that Ryan made of Lula. It was
I'm glad you liked
great. It was so great.
She loved it.
She's a beautiful dog.
Yeah, it's hanging up at my house next to
awesome.
next to my picture of Tommy Smith, the guy that holds his hand up like that, and the Mexico City won the gold. You know, with the black glove. Yeah. Anyways, it's next to that picture.
All right.
So, you guys. There's a show coming up. Am I right when I say May 6th?
Close. Upside down. 9.
May 9.
But we're in the ballpark.
Yeah. So it's May 9th, and it's here in Hollywood.
We're doing it at the Hi-Hat, a concert venue. It is called Nuclear Heat Wrestling.
Yeah.
And we're trying to do something different. We're trying to, we have a great network of friends, a lot of talented people, and we wanted to kind of pull them all together and raise money for Dogs Without Borders, which is an amazing, accomplished dog charity. It's actually a charity, and they help find homes for, foster, and vet, and give medical help to all the stray dogs around LA. And they partner with a couple operations overseas too.
And it sounds like that they're right up my alley.
Perfect. Yeah.
Which is probably why you guys got in touch with me on this.
We thought you might think it's cool.
Yeah. I can't think of too many more worthy causes, at least as far as I'm concerned. You know, who's going to be on the show?
Well, so far we have Taya Valkyrie. She's going to be a big part of it. She's really big into the dog charities, as you know, from seeing her little Presley dog who gets into it with after that little altercation. We have them have a match.
Yeah, Lou versus Presley.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Lou's right by your feet. She got away from me.
Yeah, she's all right.
She's going to be on it. We're both going to be on it in a capacity. For me, I got to do a little tag match. With Super Panda, who's my roommate, who also tore his bicep.
Yeah.
I'm coming back from one of those.
Tore his bicep trying to operate his cell phone, ordering Tinder.
Too much swiping?
Way too much swiping. The tendon seized up on him.
Swipe right too much. And
seen it too many times.
Yeah, it's definitely an epidemic out here. You got to be careful.
If you're waking up and by 7 a.m. you're out of likes, there's a problem. You're addicted.
I wouldn't know anything about that. But so they're going to be on it. PP Ray, Peter Avalon, and Ray Rosas, they're going to be on the show. Brody King is going to be on the show.
Brody King.
Brody
King.
Great. Yeah. Yes, he's going to be there.
Also a dog owner. He's rescued some dogs. Some of his pets are rescues too.
Make sure he wears black trunks. That's just anyways. That's an inside story.
Geez,
sorry,
I got some ideas.
I want to know more about that.
Does someone want to tell that
All
story?
right, I'll just tell you real quick. Brody, he just like most people have to wear cool gear, but he has this cool shit on his body already, just like you do.
Very
It's
visual,
And then he was wearing these crazy trunks with some weird ass pattern. I'm like, what are you doing, man? Like, you already have all the cool stuff you need on your body. Like, just put some black trunks on.
Yep.
And leave it at that.
On commentary, I call him the mosh pit mechanic because he literally looks like he can get into a mosh pit and just systematically destroy everyone in a mosh pit.
And I was when first time I saw him at Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, I was like, okay, I'm a fan of this guy. They need to push this guy.
Yep.
And they like him around in the independent scene.
We went
now,
to see
right?
his band play. I went with Sandow to go see. He's a singer of a hardcore band.
Really?
So we went to go see him
Where
play. Somewhere in Van Nuys. I guess they play mostly on the East Coast, but there was a local show. We made a point to go, and he said, "You guys might want to stand like over here by the speakers." And I said, "All right, but why?" And he goes, "Trust me." And I was like, "Okay." So we're waiting for it to start. As soon as the first note hits, people were spin kicking themselves in the face, punching themselves. Like someone got knocked out and carried out. I was like, all right, cool. I don't want to be around. It was just going insane.
Oh, God.
Is that like a thing?
That's what moshing is now. Is they just spin around with their fists open, hit each other, and jump off the speakers and drop kick each other. I couldn't. It was all teenagers just killing themselves.
Hey, so this is totally off subject, but it just popped into my head. So I went and did this thing at Second City Hollywood, and it was you. It was
That's right.
The flying Chuck.
Yeah, and I was terrible. Yeah.
You were awesome.
Yeah, but I know what I could have done if I didn't eat 200 milligram TKO before I came.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, I didn't know. Like, I thought I was just coming up to host and say, hey, everyone.
Man. No, you did great. People loved you.
I've seen one of those type of shows with your brother Dolph Ziggler.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, when you guys did it. And that's a lot of pressure, Sean.
Lula with them and a little baby carrier.
Yeah, there was zero pressure until I actually walked out on stage and saw like Joey Ryan in the crowd, this person in the crowd, and all these people, and I'm like, oh shit, what am I gonna do? So
well, you told a great story about how you and Lula met each other. And
you know what? Though
awesome.
I could tell that story in my sleep. I've
People
told it
loved
a million times.
Ryan, when you're booking wrestlers for something like that, do you try to give them all the details and let them know what they're really gonna be doing, or is it like, yo, just come, it's no biggie?
Well, it's tricky because you want them to know that there really is no pressure. Whatever you talk about is fine.
Yeah.
But then some other people, someone else will freeze out there and just not know what to do. So you
like me.
Nah, you did great because
froze.
Well, you made a point of saying you guys want to just stand with me out there, and we're like, yeah, sure, that's cool if that makes you comfortable.
It's kind of like I have a whole bunch of people in the studio right now.
Yeah.
Makes me, it's like a security blanket.
There you go.
Supporting cast.
Now I get it.
I think my favorite thing you did in the improv show was use Lou as a drug dog sniffing
Oh,
sniffing
yeah.
bags at the airport. That was a funny little skit
Oh, man.
that happened.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, it was great. If you weren't there, it was one of the greatest improv shows of all time.
There you go.
Flying Chuck. Check it out.
Hey. Okay. So last night I ran across you and your brother's flat Earth skit, and it's great.
Thank
I
you.
wish we should have played it on. We should have played it.
You know what? I'm trying to get that to see what interest level there is in that. We're playing with the idea of flat Earth. We think it's kind of funny, and the danger is now these flat Earth people, because it's getting some traction, and some people are getting mad, saying, "How dare you mock our views? Become more educated."
I just figured some of them would actually not realize you're mocking them and actually go, see?
Yeah.
Some people we've had that reaction too. Yeah.
That's what I love about 2018 is people get mad. How dare you use satire in something that's intended to be funny?
Right.
You can't be comedians. Don't do that.
I thought it was a serious thing the whole time. I didn't know you guys were doing satire.
There's this character that we've invented. This guy, this fake CrossFit guy named Piper Jackson.
Yeah.
We've been using. You're a part of this.
That's,
We've been using him as our fake little CrossFit guy on Twitter for a while, and then I thought I want to bring this guy to life. And so we spent a few weeks shooting a few videos, and we'll release them periodically. But I got a lot of guest stars. My brother was the first one in there, so yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty funny. I hope
It
people
is.
like it.
It is, because you even said if you think this is funny, retweet it. And I wouldn't have retweeted it. Trust me.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
A retweet from you is
It's huge, right?
It's hard to get. Yeah.
I mean, it's
big time.
Big,
it can
valuable.
alter your whole life.
that's where we're at.
It altered Piper Jackson's life.
Piper.
So people can see it on your social media, Ryan?
Yeah, it's
Or
all
where can
over.
they-
It's all over my Twitter. Hot Young Briley, Piper Jackson. We're trying to make this guy happen. He's got a lot of followers. He's got like Fox News followers. I think Cena and Daniel Bryan and those guys follow him. I think it's kind of a guilty pleasure because he's like such a crazy CrossFit guy, but then also flat Earth and like he drinks only river water.
Real river water.
Real river
I can't remember some of the people when I retweeted it that I saw liked it, like from other like walks of life that
sweet.
are famous people. I saw it.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love that.
So I swear to God.
Have you ever got into the Flat Earth Society website? Because when I first discovered that people were actually like into this, I was like, you know what? I kind of want to see what
You
their
wanna know,
idea.
right? Yeah.
Can I jump on board? Can I be fooled? So I went on there, and they were like, basically, their sole premise is that it's a feeling. So I was like, that's pretty interesting.
I will say this: there's a strange resemblance of CrossFit Jackson and Piper Jackson to yourself.
I've heard that before.
Yeah.
And
you're probably.
I think it's in the right light. If I had a bandana.
Yeah, you're more handsome, but pretty
Thank
close.
you.
Yeah, he's probably read your book.
No. That's what it started.
What
I want to know is, if the Earth is flat, what has been the goal over the last few hundred years of trying to tell everyone is it big globe trying to make money? Like
Well, they sell those globes in the airport, man.
what would the trick be? Like, why would we be trying to trick you into thinking it's round?
To keep the people enslaved.
Yeah, I guess so.
Huh?
Because you don't want people like lemmings just walking off the edge of the earth.
Keep them away from the edge.
Have you had any communication with the guy that like tried to launch himself up in the rocket to prove flat Earth?
Piper has retweeted him many times.
Yeah.
Nice.
And all his footage,
good,
but
that's
he's not reached out yet.
No?
I wish. I hope soon.
I'll try to get him on my show.
That'd be great. Maybe
Yeah, right.
Kyrie Irving could come on too. When he was playing for the Cavs and I found out that he thought the Earth was flat, I was like, how does the basketball make sense to him? How does he dribble? Like, he's so good at that.
The ring actually is not even flat.
Oh my gosh.
What?
Oh no.
There's a lot more episodes coming.
It's usually like this.
I think I'm gonna pass out.
Yeah. A lot of those indie rings, too.
Oh yeah. There's peaks and
Hey,
valleys.
so
A lot of
Judas,
peaks, yeah.
hey man, you tore your bicep.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, that sucks. I've done that before.
That's why we were talking about it. Mine was kind of a freak thing. Like my arm got hooked in the ropes as I was getting clotheslined out of the ring. And, I'd done that a million times. I didn't think much about it. And then all of a sudden I just look when I got out of the ring and it just felt like a cloth tear. It was a very subtle thing.
Didn't burn?
It didn't really burn. Well, it was in the middle of like the lucha taping, so I was like all ready to go.
Sure.
So it took a minute for it to set in, but then I knew right away because I was just talking to my roommate Super Panda like earlier that day about his biceps. He was rehabbing it, and I'm like so nervous about biceps, and then I tear mine. It almost didn't seem real. It was tough to deal with that at first, but like it's been like 5 weeks now, and the rehab's actually going real well, and I've been able to train a lot more things that I thought I would. So I've been happy with that.
So Rey Mysterio tore his bicep, and I want to say he did it the exact same way.
Oh, really?
Catching himself on the way out,
Did damn, you know what? It's funny because it's like I don't know if I'll ever do that again unless I have to in like a rumble spot,
Right.
you know. But I'll find another way out. I just don't want to ever do that particular thing.
Sure.
Because, you know, I like to do a lot of flip things. I do gymnastics, but for some reason I always hate going out of the ring, grabbing the ropes because it's just unpredictable because the ropes are always a little tighter, looser here and there, depending on the show. I don't know. And this Chavo, he tore his at the WrestleCon, I guess it was the Impact versus Lucha show, catching a dive, catching someone. So it's like going around, man, careful.
It's almost like what you guys are doing is dangerous.
I never thought that until now.
Now you know.
Like, oh, great. But it's like my 4th surgery in wrestling, so I've done it before. You just deal with it.
Are you sure this is the right job for you? There are other things you could be doing.
Well, my head still works, I think. So, I don't know.
So will you be involved in you will be involved in that
Yes,
season of
I'll
the
be a part
tournament?
of it. Which one are we talking about?
The upcoming
Season?
Right.
Yeah, I was in like 6 episodes, so I will be a part of it. I have a real good couple matches actually I'm excited about that will be out there for me. So it'll probably air in, I guess it's starting in June, so probably in July, which I'll probably be pretty healthy by then, so it'll kind of coincide well.
Hey, so, how's... Obviously, you're probably not in the ring training, but you guys have a ring in the backyard.
We do, yeah.
I've been over there. I've not gone in the ring, but...
in the middle of Hollywood?
No.
We're in Sherman Oaks.
okay.
Yeah, we have a ring. I live with Taya and John Morrison.
Yeah, they live like half a mile from me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have the ring in the backyard, which is great. You know, we're always able to, train some things. We have the crash pads. I haven't been able to do any of that. I get in there and, I'm throwing some kicks and trying to beat, like X-Pac with the feet here. Trying to work on that aspect. That's all I got right now.
Just tell your opponents to put their hands up. That's how that works. Didn't I tell you that?
Damn. Yeah. I'll make a note of that one. Okay, yeah. It's probably for the best. But yeah, no, it's fun having the ring. We used to get a lot of stuff done in there. I like to train a lot. We don't like the bump ever in there. So we have like a no bump rule in the
But
practice
what about
ring.
the crash pads? That for like track tracks and dives
exactly.
and stuff?
Or if we want to do any kind of moves on it, that's what we use.
Or
those,
top rope moonsault or some shit like
all
that.
of that.
Something easy, like the top rope moonsault.
I've never ever tried anything out on a crash pad. We never even thought about that. It's a great idea. I'm glad they incorporated it into wrestling training.
I would, everything I learned was so progressive, and because I'm so big, I feel like if I make a mistake, it's not like a guy who's 165 pounds making a mistake. If I land on my head, I'm done. I don't get back up going, I'm okay. So I've always been very meticulous about that kind of training.
I was the opposite. I was just like, Tokash to the wind, like it's not going to be pretty, but here we go.
Wow.
Man.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at
worked.
any of my dives, they were nothing pretty about them.
Oh man, the one you wiped out on against Razor Ramon, I remember that one.
Yeah, everyone does.
That's what I don't want to happen.
Yeah. So hey, again, the specifics on the show.
Yeah,
Dogs Without Borders.
Dogs Without Borders. We're going to be doing some giveaway stuff too, right?
Oh yeah, so starting today and probably going for a while now, if you retweet any of the dogs on our Twitter and Instagram, because there's some dogs specifically they're trying to place right now.
Yeah.
If you retweet those or repost those, Nuclear Heat Wrestling will get a hold of you, send you a message for a $10 discount on tickets. So that's pretty easy. You just retweet a picture of a dog and you get $10 off a ticket, and it's all going to help Dogs Without Borders.
It's a great idea.
And we need to, we can't stress enough that you need to adopt and not shop.
Yeah.
Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Adopt, don't shop.
Yeah.
Adopt, man. There's so
exactly.
many who need homes, and my family back in Cleveland is very involved with the dog thing back. I was just there for a week, and every day I met a new dog, and I'm like, how are there so many that are so nice? And when they see you, they're wagging their tail, they love you, they're so loyal and excited. And the truth is, if they don't get adopted, Dogs Without Borders work specifically with high kill shelters, they call them, and they don't give them a lot of time to be adopted. So
like days, right?
It's days. So,
and they bring them in from other countries too.
Oh yeah. So when people think, oh, we'll just give them to this shelter that take care of them, well,
no.
That's for maybe like a week or less, and then unfortunately they'll get put down unless someone adopts them. So
I just can't even imagine being that person that it's their job to put those dogs down.
Awful.
I can't even imagine it.
It's not great. No.
Oh God.
Yikes.
So that's why Dogs Without Borders will work to help to home these dogs. So find a temporary place, a permanent place, a family for them, and they'll deworm them, like I said, give them the shots, neuter, spay, whatever, all that kind of stuff. So,
and that's why it's important to raise the money, because these organizations, this does cost money. I work with another one called KRLA, and they bring dogs in from Korea, and that costs money, and then everything they use at the shot. So at an event like this, you're going to have a great night, and all the money's going directly to the dogs.
Yeah, and it's going to be, we kind of want a rock and roll feel to it. It's at a rock and roll venue. It's going to have badass matches with, we try to find cool characters that people who aren't wrestling fans, so maybe a lot of the dog community will come in and go, oh, this is nuts. We have Brody King just going nuts.
I'm thinking I'm thinking I might be there.
Well, we might have.
Might have X-Pac coming in. Pretty nice.
Put your hands up.
Lula's got to be there.
Of course. If I'm there, she's there. I mean, that's how that works.
That adds another 100 people.
You didn't see her at the Hall of Fame.
Oh, I saw her.
Yeah,
of course.
In second row at WrestleMania.
I thought you were going to give a speech.
Yeah, we're going to get her a custom gown for next year.
She had one. She had a red sequin gown on.
Did?
She sure did.
Oh, wow.
Damn straight. So, yeah, hey, man, first of all, thank you for coming in. And really, thank you for doing this for the dogs.
Well, we want to...
That's huge to me, man. You're over huge. I mean, you were already over huge with me, but even more so now.
We just have a great network of friends and talented people. We wanted to just make something good happen.
Yeah, put it all together.
You know?
Yeah. Well, I definitely,
we hope it goes well.
I definitely want to be a part of that.
Hell yeah.
Thank you guys for coming on.
Thanks for having us on.
And do you want to take us out?
Yeah.
Christy?
Are we done?
I think we're done, right, Marcus?
We're done. Okay.
Well, before we let you go, Sean will be at MCW this weekend in Joe Palm, Maryland. Go see him there. April 21st this weekend at MCW, and then April 28th in Seattle for Defy Wrestling, defywrestling.com if you want tickets for that. And then May 2nd you'll be in Vegas at the Cauliflower Alley Club.
That's right, and presenting Shawn Michaels with the Luke Dez Award.
Oh wow!
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah,
huge.
Scott and Kev will be there as well.
Nice.
Yeah. And what else was I just forgetting? Shit, I know it was something.
We can post it on the
Yeah,
social media.
anyways. All right. So that's about it.
Ryan and Judas, please tell everybody where to follow you at so they can get the tickets. And
check out the Twitter for Nuclear Heat Wrestling is nuclear_heat. Check me out at Hot Young Briley. I post everything.
I'm Judas Draven on Instagram and Twitter. I'll be posting a lot of this stuff too. We're going to be on Instagram doing some giveaway stuff, so you want to check us out there. And yeah, follow Nuclear Heat on both as well. You'll probably have something up too, like for people that follow the show.
Yes.
Well, some links that they can check out.
And on our Instagram and all that stuff as well.
Well, thanks big time for having us on.
I'm really happy you guys came in.
Oh, that's great.
real quick, where can they find you guys?
Jimbo?
Go ahead, Jimbo.
Follow me on Twitter at Jimbo the Booth. Use the hashtag XPac12360. Follow Sean on Twitter at The Real X-Pac. On Instagram, XPac12360. Facebook, XPac12360 Show. And get your t-shirts at ProWrestlingTees.com/Sean Waltman.
And you guys can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at _Denise Salcedo.
At Piper Jackson, the earth is flat. That's not. At Jay Quasto, this weekend I'm at the Tempe Improv, and then Sunday we have Championship Wrestling from Arizona television tapings at the Nile Theater. And of course, you can watch Championship Wrestling from Hollywood every single week, depending on where you are in the country. So check it out.
We're providing you with so much entertainment.
100, they're on over 100 markets.
At one
Something
point,
like
yes.
that, right?
It's hard to keep track.
But I mean, something like that. That's pretty big. Anyways, hey. Okay, go. You can do this. Go ahead.
So go out in the world, enjoy wrestling, adopt dogs, hit me up at Christy Reports, and we will see you all next week.
On X-Pac 12360.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, Sean Waltman, producers Mark B. Donica, Jimbo Frank, Christy Olson, and the entire X-Pac 12360 staff, we would like to thank you for tuning in. Like us on Facebook, rate and comment on iTunes and YouTube. Follow X-Pac on Twitter at The Real X-Pac and email us at xpac12360show@gmail.com.